Does this mean I have to start watching Impact for this show? What's going on, WrestleTalk friends and fans? It is 2 Title Tempest here with another edition of the WrestleTalk Recap, the weekly show where I go over the news and notes and the week of professional wrestling and break down anything that you may have missed on all of WrestleTalk's YouTube channels. So what happened to WrestleTalk this week? Well, Laurie Blake has just about lost his mind, hasn't he?
Laurie, where have you been? We haven't seen you since Survivor Series.
What Survivor Series? I think I must have fallen asleep for the end of it, frankly.
That's right. During this week's Raw Review podcast, Ollie Davis and Luke Owen were pleasantly discussing this week's show when Laurie Blake turned up for the first time in 8 days.
This is pretty scary.
I'm sorry, lads, but there's no way he can't be back. He cannot be back. It's impossible. I can't. I can't even say this one. I'm out of here. Bye.
We will still have to wait for TLC, WWE's next pay-per-view, to see what exactly El Facador has in mind for Mr. Ollie Davis. In a more lighthearted side of the channel, Randy Andy Datson finally did his Wrestle League punishment. Oh man.
So my girls in the club say, cause you know just how we do.
This is both the best and worst thing that we have ever made. This week's match of the week is Slapjack versus... No, it's not. It's Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. The long-awaited rematch from last year's Full Gear pay-per-view, Jon Moxley defended the AEW World Championship against Kenny Omega in the main event of AEW Dynamite this week. These two went nearly a half hour on television, and it was absolutely fantastic, getting 4.5 stars from Dave Meltzer, and Kenny Omega capturing the AEW World Championship. Took a little bit of time, but he got there. This match was really special, with both men playing to their strengths, with Jon Moxley trying to force things to the outside and brawl at ringside, while Kenny Omega made the most of his strikes and pure athletic ability. Of course, the real big story is what happened at the finish and thereafter, but sit tight, we'll get to that in a bit. The show of the week is AEW Dynamite as a whole. Many people said this was maybe the best 2-hour stretch of pro wrestling they'd seen all year. The show was dubbed Winter is Coming, and no, that was not just a tagline ripped off from a show we all wish we could forget about at this point, but it signified the debut of the icon Sting. What will come of Sting in AEW? We really don't know yet, but he made his way to the ring, locked eyes with Arn Anderson, Cody Rhodes, and Darby Allin before retreating up the ramp. I'm pretty excited. That wasn't the only thing that happened on this show. Of course, we had the aforementioned main event, but we also had the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Very similar to last year's Battle Royal, MJF managed to outlast many of the other competitors, making his way to next week's one-on-one match against the other finalist, Orange Cassidy. Switching gears now to the most important news topic of the week, Pat Patterson passed away at the age of 79. Not only was Patterson one of the very best professional wrestlers of all time, working for Roy Shire in San Francisco in the 70s, along with Ray Stevens in one of the best tag teams of all time, but he's also one of the most influential people behind the scenes in WWE history. Ask any of the top stars throughout WWE's history, and they will point to Pat Patterson as one of the reasons why they were so successful, whether it be The Rock, John Cena, Chris Jericho, the list goes on and on. We here at WrestleTalk offer our deepest condolences to the friends, family, and fans of Pat Patterson, and thank him so much for everything he's done for the business that we all love. Now, the other big news story of the week was AEW and Impact Wrestling. As we alluded to earlier, Kenny Omega managed to capture the AEW World Championship, but he did it with the help of Don Callis. Don Callis, of course, is one of the heads of Impact Wrestling, and as the two took off into the night as Dynamite came to a close, Don Callis said that you will see them both next week on Tuesday, the home of Impact Wrestling. As if I needed more wrestling to watch for this show. The scope of this partnership, of course, remains to be seen, but fans have not hesitated to dream up as many interpromotional matches as they can. Cross-promotional wrestling has been kind of taboo among top-level companies in the past, so it'll be very interesting to see how this goes and just how far the AEW reach can go. Moving over to this week's shows, you have Raw kicking things off on Monday with Jeff Hardy nearly killing himself. Jeff, we talked about this. You're not allowed to kill yourself. That would be bad. Are you gonna be careful? He says he'll try. Frankly, I don't believe him either. During his Symphony of Destruction match against Elias on Raw, Jeff Hardy performed a Swanton Bomb off of the ring post through a table below. The problem was Jeff Hardy's head then ricocheted and came back whiplashing against the ring steps. Hardy could have been seriously injured by this, and fingers crossed, Seems like he's okay. Also on the show, you had AJ Styles becoming the #1 contender for Drew McIntyre's WWE Championship by defeating Keith Lee and Riddle in a triple threat match. Styles will go on to face McIntyre for the WWE title at WWE's TLC pay-per-view, although the stipulation for the match has not yet been announced. This week on NXT, we had yet another ladder match to determine who would get the War Games advantage in the Women's War Games match. In frankly a baffling booking decision, the babyface team, led by Shotzi Blackheart, will get the advantage in this. Maybe we'll see some sort of turn or angle during the match like we saw last year, because otherwise this is a total TNA move, and I don't mean that in a good way. For those who don't know, the babyface team's not supposed to have the advantage in a War Games match. That's like the rule. That's the rule. You can't break the rule. Over on the other channel, you had AEW Dynamite, which we've already kind of talked enough about this week, so I'll just say go and watch it. It was an excellent episode of wrestling television. And then, of course, rounding out the week, we have WWE SmackDown, which has not taken place yet, so take it away, Pete.
Reigns then cuts a vicious promo in Owens' face to end the show. I really liked all of this, and Reigns' story continues to be the highlight of SmackDown.
Over on WrestleTalk.com, we have another batch of feature content for you this week, including Sanchez Taylor's list of 10 insane matches you forgot happened in 2020. We also have an article from Ollie Davis talking about why AEW should copy WWE more. Hang on, put away your pitchforks. It's not a bad read. Give it a chance. And finally, we have Chopper Pete's article of why WWE entrance videos suck. Over on Parts Fun Known, you have Adam Blampier's latest booking video where he breaks down how he would book the SmackDown hacker.
You need the files? I can do it. For a price. Keep your guns. I can start World War III with just a few lines of code.
I'll give you a spoiler. It doesn't just go away for no reason after a while. Means it's already better than how WWE booked it. And right here on Wrestle2, we have another week's worth of Wrestling Daily with Alex McCarthy. And well, you know, I don't want to bring up Randy singing again, but
So my girls in the club say,
that's here too. No, for something completely different. And over on Phenomena Nerds, you have Adam Blampier's in-depth analysis of the Ungame, perhaps the most hated game in the board game community.
Okay, what if I invited your entire family over? Would you want to talk about your feelings then?
No, that sounds much worse.
Okay, would you want to talk about your feelings if I showed you this gun?
Oh, Jesus Christ, what the f***?
And additionally, you have a Let's Play of Just One, where the gang get together to play the game for you to enjoy. So coming up this month on WrestleTalk's YouTube channels, of course, it is December, so be on the lookout for an increase in feature content as we break down what's happened this year in pro wrestling and what you can look forward to going into 2021. And that just about wraps it up for me with another edition of the WrestleTalk Recap. I've been Two Title Tempest, reminding you to like, share, and subscribe to stay notified. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Our Instagram is @WrestleTalk.official. Our Twitter is @WrestleTalk_TV. You can follow me on Twitter @TempestWT, and I will see you next time, where maybe I can defend my Quizlemania titles.